There is a kind of power that no one teaches you in school, not in college, not in any boardroom. It has nothing to do with money, status, or physical strength. And yet, the men who understood it ruled empires, survived exile, faced death without flinching, and lived with a clarity that most people will never experience. This power has a name. It is called Stoicism. And by the end of this, you will understand why it may be the single most important philosophy you were never taught. Let me take you back nearly 2,000 years. Picture Rome at the height of its power. A man sits alone in a tent on the northern frontier. Outside, barbarian armies press against the borders of civilization. Inside, by the dim glow of an oil lamp, this man writes in a private journal. He is not writing orders. He is not drafting strategy. He is writing to himself, reminding himself how to think, how to endure, how to remain steady when the world demands everything from him. That man is Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on earth. And his journal, never meant for anyone else's eyes, would become one of the most important books ever written. We know it today as the Meditations. Here is what strikes you when you read it. Marcus Aurelius, a man who could have had anything, who could have indulged every desire, who answered to no one. This man spent his private hours telling himself to be humble, to accept hardship, to control his reactions, to remember that his time was limited. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That single line contains more practical wisdom than most self-help books published in the last 50 years. But Stoicism did not begin with Marcus Aurelius. It began centuries earlier, around 300 BC, in Athens. A merchant named Zeno of Citium lost everything in a shipwreck. His entire fortune gone in a single night. Washed up on the shores of Athens with nothing, he wandered into a bookshop. There he encountered the teachings of Socrates. And something shifted. Zeno began teaching philosophy on a painted porch, a stoa, in the Athenian marketplace. That porch gave the philosophy its name. Stoicism was born not from privilege, but from catastrophic loss. Remember that. It matters. Now let us talk about what Stoicism actually is. Because most people get this wrong. They think Stoicism means suppressing your emotions, becoming cold, becoming a stone. That is not Stoicism. That is a misunderstanding so deep it borders on the opposite of truth. Stoicism is not about feeling nothing. It is about understanding what is within your control and what is not, and building your entire life around that distinction. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic teachers, put it this way: "Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion. In a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office. In a word, whatever is not of our own doing. This is the foundation. Everything else in Stoic philosophy builds on this single idea. And when you truly absorb it, your life changes. Think about what consumes most men today. Anxiety about what others think of them. Anger at situations they cannot change. Fear of outcomes they cannot control. Resentment toward people whose actions are beyond their influence. Now imagine you could release all of that. Not through denial, not through pretending it does not matter, but through genuine, deep understanding that your energy is finite, and spending it on things outside your control is like pouring water into sand. It disappears. It produces nothing. It leaves you empty. This is what the Stoics practice daily, not as an abstract concept, as a way of life. Let me give you a modern example. You are passed over for a promotion. Someone less qualified, less dedicated, gets the position. Every instinct tells you to rage, to complain, to feel victimized, and those feelings are natural. The Stoics would not deny that, but here is what a Stoic practitioner does differently. He asks himself, what part of this was within my control? My effort, my preparation, my skill? Did I give those fully? If yes, then I have done my part. The decision belonged to someone else. It was never mine to control. What is mine now? My response, my next action, my ability to learn, adapt, and move forward with dignity. This is not passive acceptance. This is radical clarity. Seneca, perhaps the most eloquent Stoic writer, was advisor to Emperor Nero. He was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, and yet he practiced poverty voluntarily. He would spend days eating the simplest food, wearing rough clothing, sleeping on a hard surface. Why would a rich man do this? He explained it himself. Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" He was inoculating himself against loss, training himself so that if fortune ever turned against him, and it did eventually fatally, he would not be destroyed by it. This practice has a modern name now. Some call it voluntary discomfort, and it remains one of the most powerful tools available to any man. Cold showers, fasting, sleeping on the floor occasionally, not as punishment, as training. You are teaching your mind that comfort is preferred, not required, that you can function, think clearly, and remain yourself even when external conditions deteriorate. Most men discover this truth only in crisis. The Stoic discovers it by choice, long before crisis arrives. There is another Stoic concept that has gained attention in recent years. Amor Fati, love of fate, not mere acceptance of what happens to you, love for it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This is amor fati in practice. Whatever life throws at you becomes fuel. The obstacle becomes the path, the setback becomes the lesson, the pain becomes the teacher. Consider this carefully. Two men face the same hardship, a business failure, a betrayal, a health crisis. One man is broken by it. He becomes bitter. He defines himself by what happened to him. The other man passes through the same fire and emerges stronger, wiser, more capable. The difference between them is not talent. It is not luck. It is philosophy. It is the mental framework through which they interpret events. The Stoic does not ask, "Why did this happen to me?" He asks, "What does this make possible? What can I build from this wreckage?" Now let me address something directly. There is a reason Stoicism resonates so deeply with men in particular, though its wisdom applies to all people. Men are often told two contradictory things. Be strong, but also your strength does not matter because the world is unfair. Stoicism offers a third path. Be strong precisely because the world is unfair. Your strength is not about controlling outcomes, it is about controlling yourself, your perceptions, your judgments, your actions. That is where true masculine power lives, not in dominance over others, in dominance over your own mind. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that in the context of modern life. How many men are slaves to their phone notifications, to social media validation, to the approval of people they do not even respect, to addictions they pretend they can quit any time, to emotional reactions they never chose but cannot seem to stop. Stoicism is the path to genuine freedom. Not freedom from responsibility, freedom from the tyranny of your own undisciplined mind. Let me share one of the most powerful Stoic exercises. It is called Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. Each morning, the Stoics would deliberately visualize what could go wrong that day, not to become pessimistic, but to become prepared. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I will meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil.'" He was not being negative, he was being realistic. And because he anticipated difficulty, he was not ambushed by it. When someone was rude, he was ready. When plans failed, he was ready. When the day brought hardship, he had already rehearsed his response. Try this tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you speak to anyone. Sit for 2 minutes and consider. What difficulties might today bring? How will I respond to them? Who might test my patience? What might not go according to plan? And then decide in advance that you will meet these things with composure, with reason, with the understanding that difficulty is not a bug in human life. It is the feature. It is the training ground. There is also the Stoic practice of the view from above. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself of how small his concerns were in the vastness of time and space. Not to diminish his life, but to liberate himself from the petty anxieties that consume so much human energy. He wrote, "How small a part of the boundless and unfathomable time is assigned to every man. It is very soon swallowed up in the eternal, and how small a part of the whole substance, and how small a part of the universal soul. When you remember that you are a temporary arrangement of atoms on a small planet in an unremarkable corner of the universe, and that this is true of every person who has ever lived, something relaxes in you. The insult from a co-worker loses its weight. The traffic jam loses its power over your mood. The rejection loses its sting. This is not nihilism. The Stoics were not nihilists. They believed life had profound meaning. But that meaning came from virtue, from living according to reason, from contributing to the human community, from being useful, from being honest, from being courageous, not from accumulating praise, possessions, or status. Those things are what the Stoics called preferred indifference. Nice to have, but not the source of a good life. Let me bring this to the most practical level possible. Here are the Stoic principles you can begin applying today. First, the dichotomy of control. Every time you feel frustration, anger, or anxiety, ask yourself, is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, release it. Do this consistently for 30 days and you will be a different person. Second, voluntary discomfort. Once a week, deliberately do something difficult that you do not have to do. The cold shower, the skipped meal, the early morning run. You are building the muscle of discipline. You are proving to yourself that you do not need comfort to function. Third, evening reflection. Seneca practiced this every night. Before sleep, review your day. Where did I act well? Where did I fall short? What can I do better tomorrow? This is not self-punishment. This is self-correction. The man who examines himself daily improves daily. Fourth, memento mori. Remember that you will die. Not someday in the abstract. You will actually die. This life will end. When you carry that awareness, not as dread but as clarity, you stop wasting time on things that do not matter. You become urgent about the things that do. You tell people what they mean to you. You pursue the work that matters. You stop postponing your life. Fifth, the discipline of assent. When an impression strikes your mind, when someone offends you, when something goes wrong, do not immediately agree with your first reaction. Pause. Examine the impression. Is it accurate? Is this truly terrible? Or have I added that judgment? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Take away your opinion, and there is taken away the complaint. Take away the complaint, and the hurt is gone." The event itself is neutral. Your judgment makes it good or bad. 2,000 years have passed since these men wrote their words. Empires have risen and fallen. Technology has transformed every aspect of human life. And yet the core challenges of being human remain exactly the same. How do I handle adversity? How do I control my emotions? How do I live with purpose? How do I face my own mortality? How do I remain steady when everything around me is chaos? The answers the Stoics provided have not aged a single day, because they were never about circumstance. They were about the architecture of the human mind. And that has not changed. You were never taught this in school. You were taught calculus and chemistry and the dates of wars. But no one sat you down and said, "Here is how to think. Here is how to process loss. Here is how to turn pain into power. Here is how to remain free in a world that constantly tries to enslave your attention." The Stoics wrote those lessons down 2 millennia ago. They are still there, waiting for anyone with the discipline to pick them up and apply them. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. These men left you a manual for living, not a theoretical one, a practical one, tested in the trenches of real life, in slavery, in war, in political exile, in the seat of ultimate power. It worked in all conditions because it relies on the one thing that is always available to you: your own mind, your own choices, your own will. This is the power you were never taught, and now you know where to find it. If this changed how you see things, even slightly, leave a thought in the comments. Tell me which Stoic idea hit hardest for you. Subscribe if you want more of this. practical philosophy that makes a real difference, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the right words at the right moment can redirect an entire life.